Now we want to turn to an I-Team exclusive. A few months ago, we exposed the never-ending pipe problems a handful of homeowners were living with in the northern part of the state. Those neighbors had a feeling the problem was with a nearby salt shed.
And while I-Team reporter Matthew Campbell got the state to confirm indeed it was their fault, many wanted to know what happened to those families. So we sent him back to Woodstock for an update.
It's been months since our initial report on the corrosive problems coming from this Woodstock salt storage facility, and Monique Maldonado's pipes still look like this.
They're continuing to corrode.
Our tests in November showed sodium and chloride levels at her home on Route 98 were many times over the state-approved limits. It had Monique and her family drinking, cooking, and even bathing with bottled water provided by the state.
We're kind of fed up, as our neighbors are.
They're still living that nightmare that's gone on for 2 years, but a resolution for her and 4 other homes is finally in sight. The Department of Transportation says they were doing tests even before our story aired, but coincidentally, another inspection was done days after. The state tested the ground and the water for days before visiting with all families to tell them the aquifer was contaminated with chlorides.
So how do you fix that? It's going to take decades probably for that to correct itself.
The state says the problem started with this salt storage facility, but not the salt shed itself, rather the dumping of the snow. Crews would dump the snow on the grass. When the snow melted, the salt would leach into the ground and eventually make it into the water system. Now crews are told to dump the snow on the asphalt.
It's carelessness. And now we're paying the price for it.
The state confirms this is a tricky problem that will take time to fix. Right now, there are options for an individual or community well.
A community well would most likely be the best solution, because then the state would have to regulate it forevermore. And we wouldn't be responsible for it.
Additionally, the state says a reverse osmosis system would potentially need to be installed uniquely in each home, and it would receive ongoing permanent maintenance.
It's very hard to sell a house when you have that system in your house. I mean, it's such a red flag to any buyers that come along.
Homeowners will be waiting. Since the state seems to be going home by home, they're worried it'll be years before they see change.
We're thinking that it's going to take another at least 2 years.
The I-Team will stay on top of it, but we're not the only ones monitoring. Woodstock's Conservation Commission is now involved. They say they're looking to test other local wells.
To see how wide the plume is, we want wells monitored in the future to make sure that it's not expanding.
So we have the potential solutions, but the question these homeowners have is when. The state says soon. Right now they're having a lot of internal meetings, they're doing a lot of analyzing, and when all of that is done, they should then have a timeline. For the I-Team, Matthew Campbell, Channel 3.